right, so next we have Kelli Hammer Levy. She is a Public Works Director for Pinellas County. She serves on multiple boards and advisory panels. She's been working on water quality, environmental, and stormwater issues in the Tampa Bay area for over 20 years. Please welcome Kelli to the virtual stage now.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much. I'm looking so forward to this event today, and I got to give you a little bit of a just sharing a little bit. I'm very nervous about this, actually. I'm a very technical person, so when I was asked to participate today, my initial instinct was to say, "Wow, this is way outside my comfort zone." So. Maybe I should stick to what I know, but the more I thought about it as like, I really do need to be here and to share my experiences. So my name is Kelli Hammer Levy, and I'm going to share with you a little bit what I do professionally, and then kind of take you through my journey, my professional journey. And I'm going to share some slides so that, I can kind of explain, my career and a little bit about what I do. You may not even know what a public works director is. So let me just 1 second. I'm going to share that screen. And there we go. So, what is a public works department anyway? Public works tends to be more in government. The American Public Works Association describes it as you see there. I'm not gonna read that to you, but for me, I get to go to work every day and work with an amazing group of people, scientists and engineers, finance staff, GIS professionals, equipment operators, folks that maintain your roads, your bridges, your stormwater systems, that protect the air you breathe, the water you swim in, and your public health every day. So it's really a rewarding career. So, why is that unique to me? Well, when you look at public works directors in the United States, only about less than 9% are women. I do find myself in public works meetings, and I may be the only woman in the room. And while we don't make up a significant proportion of the public works directors, I will say that men in this field tend to be very supportive of women. So I highly encourage anyone who is interested in this field to think about it, because you're walking into a very supportive environment, even though all the faces may not look like yours. So what is like a traditional career path for a public works director? As I mentioned, there's lots of engineering and science and, so surveyors and engineers and construction folks, yep, that's a very traditional career path. If you're on the construction side of things, you're used to maintaining the infrastructure. Again, a very traditional career path, but I'm a scientist. I went to school to be a marine biologist. That is definitely not a traditional career path for a public works director. It can be done, obviously, because I'm sitting here today talking to you today, but it is not as unique as common as you might think. So, as I start to talk about my journey, I really have to go back and talk a little bit about my childhood, because it was really my mom and a lot of her challenges and struggles that helped me develop skill sets to move forward in a lot of different directions. So, my parents divorced when I was in middle school. I lived in a very small town. So in and of itself was quite a challenge. My mom was a mom. She went to high school and got married right after. I was born a year later, my brother 4 years after that. So divorce was a significant transition in my mother's life. She had never been in the workforce, and being able to navigate that, trying to find a job, applying for housing assistance and food assistance, was a big challenge for her. And not to mention having two kids to to bring along behind her. She also enrolled in a tuition program, where they, wanted to help people develop skill sets and go to school so that they weren't reliant on public assistance. And she took advantage of that. And, by the time I graduated from high school, my mom was in a career field that she loved and was very successful. And so resilience is really, part of my career story, my career journey. And I can't talk about that without talking about her, because watching her navigate systems that she never experienced before, dealing with finances that she had never experienced before, stumbling, making mistakes, getting back up, and being stronger for it is resilient. My mom and I did not have a super close relationship growing up, but she taught me a lot about how to respond and adapt and flourish through resilience. In its simplest definition, resilience is the ability to bounce back. But to me, it's a lot more than that. It's the ability to learn and to grow as a result of the challenges we face. So when I decided that I wanted to be a scientist, to move from small town Ohio down to Florida, to be a marine scientist, I knew the challenge was not going to be easy. We didn't have financial ability to pay for that school. I didn't have connections at the colleges, to help me get in, but I worked very hard. Lots of loans, lots of grants. But I went to school and I went to grad school, and every single time I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. I'm trying to work 2 jobs and do my coursework. I would always think back to my mom, and hey, she navigated all that with 2 kids. So, resilience is a skill. I learned some of it from watching my mom, but I learned a lot of it about, in navigating my career as well. So it's not something that you have. It is something that you learn, and it is a skill that we should all focus on. Being comfortable with change, the ability to accept it, learning new skills and being able to apply them in new environments and new worlds. Being able to take charge of your career and development. Nobody's going to do that for you. That's something that you need to have in and of yourself to say, I want this, and go get it. Find your sense of purpose. It will really help you assess setbacks in a much more broad perspective. And reframe how you view your skills, your talents, and your interests. Reflection fosters learning and self-awareness, which helps you grow in many areas. I always say that relationships they move mountains, both professionally and personally. And I have a big focus on relationships in my professional career, but also pay attention to your self-identity, outside of your job. It's really important that your job is not who you are, but who you are is what you bring to the job. So I'm going to share with you, a little bit of my early career lessons. Early on in your career, one, you're just trying to get your foot in the door, and you're probably not going to find that first job, that job that you just love. It's going to take you through the next 30 years. It's probably not going to happen, and that's okay. It's good. It's like trying on different shoes. You find the ones that fit the best, that look the greatest, and complement you. So don't worry about that so much. You're really trying to learn. You're trying to gain new experience, and you're trying to build your resume, so that you can find that job that is really the right fit for you. I had some great supervisors along the way that really set goals and expectations for me. And if I had supervisors who didn't, I needed to ask for it. Don't be shy about asking, what do you expect from me? What are my goals on a day-to-day basis? Sometimes a job wasn't exactly, as stretch my skills. It didn't challenge me enough. So I'd ask, do you have anything that you need done? I know it may not, fit me. It may not be really in my wheelhouse, but I'm willing to give it a go. And be a sponge, just absorb, learn. Those first few jobs are all about self-development and learning who you're becoming. So just listen and learn, but also understand it's okay to leave. I had a couple of supervisors. One was extremely volatile. I could determine how the day was going to go based on how that individual opened the door. That's not good. I also had a supervisor who was completely unavailable in all ways, professionally, personally, come in the door, open it, go into the office, close it, come out for lunch, go back in, open it up at 5 and leave, and never engage staff at all. I put in ideas for streamlining and improving efficiencies and automating processes and procedures, and put it in her inbox only to get a note back that it's not broken. If the work environment's not healthy, the job doesn't really interest you, the supervisor is not invested in you, you learn from those things, you become better because of those things. You know what type of manager or supervisor you never want to be, but don't stay. And definitely don't stay long. Get the most out of it, but then you really need to go and be prepared to find that next step, that next career path. So right now I would say, I'm kind of in the middle of my career. Even as a public works director, I still probably have, about 10, 15 years that I'm still planning on being in the workforce, in the field. But it's still important, to stay connected and grounded to how you got where you were. Those early career lessons are really important as you move into higher levels, or you move into longer term positions. It can be very easy to become complacent, a little comfortable. Continue to make yourself a little uncomfortable. Set goals and expectations with your supervisors. Make sure that you're on the same page, you're rowing in the same direction. And those stretch assignments may not necessarily come from your boss. They may come from you. When you're working in a job and it's very diverse, get away from those things that you're comfortable with and go spend time on those things that you're not. Who you work for is really important. I mentioned early in my career, I had some really good supervisors and I had some that were really bad. These are the people who are going to teach you, that are going to mentor you and help grow you. So, pick wisely. People, they say it all the time. People don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses. And it's all true. So, who do you want to work for? Who do you want to be engaged with every single day, helping drive change and improvements and things like that? It's really important to your career to do that. For the last, probably 12 years of my career, I've had, 10 or 11 different supervisors. And that in itself is a challenge, to be able to adapt to their different management styles, their expectations, how to engage with them, how not to engage with them. So, those transitions, can help you, kind of figure some things out along the way as well. And as I was moving through my career, most of my career was in the environmental field. This public works side of things is more new. I really saw my career path. It was laid out for me. I could see it. And I was really super excited about it. I was promoted to a division director, and I was the first female to be in that role. The director was male, the assistant director was male, all the other division directors were male. And I recall going into our division director meetings, executive team meetings, and just the conversations weren't as comfortable with me in the room. And so I adjusted my behavior to them, and that was wrong. I became one of the boys. Don't do that. It started to frustrate me after a while. I really, I had different perspectives, different ideas on how to approach things. And finally, I just started bringing them out. And yeah, it made them uncomfortable a little bit, but it was as good for them as it was for me. And we learned to respect one another and the diversity of our opinions and and the decisions we make and the opinions we have. Women bring such value to the workforce. So don't be like the boys. You are uniquely female, and own that and enjoy it. I mentioned that, I really felt my career path was defined for me. I thought I would move to assistant director and then director, and then all of a sudden the recession occurred and my department was dissolved and the director retired and the assistant director went into a different role. And my division and what was left of it got moved into public works, and we felt like fish out of water. It was like, what do we have in common? And it was an incredible, opportunity for me to work with my team, through the stages of grief of losing, staff members that we'd worked with for a really long time, and just, having to reduce the number of people, into losing our leadership team, to coming into a department that didn't really seem to want us. And how do we, become part of their team? It was a great challenge, but it took a lot of time, but it really helped me hone my leadership skills and those soft skills and helping people navigate not just changing tasks and those management type things, but being able to have really good conversations about, Kelly, where is my career path now? I don't have one. It stops at you. And it's like, no, it only stops where you think it stops. Look beyond this moment, look beyond our borders, and look at all the opportunities that lay ahead. One of the other things that occurred during that time is that the county administrator kind of said, "Hey, Kelly, I'd like you to take on this assignment and lead it, and you're going to have to bring it to the board, and all that." And I just looked at it. And my initial thought was, "Oh no, I have nothing. I don't know anything about this. I can't do it." And the next thing you know, words coming out of my mouth were like, "Sure, I'll take that." And I thought I must have been crazy. I knew nothing about it, but you know what? I pulled together a core team. We laid out a plan. We moved it forward. It was really successful. And that opportunity opened another door, that took my environmental group that I was so comfortable with and combined it with a more operational group that really expanded my skill sets. Never did I think I was going to be overseeing teams that operate heavy equipment and dig out channels and ditches and trim trees and mow grass and do all of these other functions. But it was such a mind-opening and learning experience for me. And, when I talk about those leadership skills, operational employees are really used to more of a command and control structure. They've got policies and procedures, they've got a book that tells them how to do everything. So my approach to, talking to them and learning about their jobs and asking them questions was really quite foreign, but really welcome. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, I say here that when life gives you lemons, well, I guess you either make lemonade or get the tequila. But you know, a reorganization occurred, and they split all that back out. It was kind of heartbreaking to me. I was starting to see a new career alignment for me and moving a different direction. But it was like, oh, Kelly's so good at that environmental stuff, put her back there. And it really was kind of soul crushing. I thought, well, at least I know how to do the job. There's no learning curve, but there's no learning curve. And that's a problem for me. So I took that moment and said, I have never taken advantage of my organization's tuition reimbursement program. So I'm going to do that. And I went back to school and got my master's in public administration, a whole new skill set that I was able to bring to the table. So, that line on the right-hand side, that's what success looks like. Yeah, it's up, it's down, it's all over the place. Success is never going to be linear. I've learned that, when, even when, I thought, okay, well, here I go again, I'm going to take a detour. School was the right thing for me in that moment. It helped challenge my brain, helped keep me engaged, and really brought a whole new perspective to a lot of things that I was getting to work on. So invest in yourself, and then use that to invest in others. So, I talk about the future. I honestly don't really know. I obviously can't predict it. I said it's not a straight line. It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways. But I feel like I'm prepared for that. I'm prepared to adapt and adjust. as things change. So I'm here to tell you that a female scientist can be a public works director. Scientists are trained to have critical thinking skills, to question the status quo, to be data driven, but it's not just enough. It's supervisors that helped me grow. It was stretch assignments that pushed me to be uncomfortable. It was a lot of leadership work. Going back to school when things didn't work out helped me overcome my disappointment. And I failed not once, not twice, but 3 times in applying for this job. But the 4th time was the time I got it. So be resilient, fight for what you want, learn those skills, and don't hold back. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. I hope you all were taking notes. So many golden nuggets in that one. I loved the success line. It's so true. It really looks all over the place. And for everyone, it's so, so different. So honoring that path. I loved what she said about don't be like the boys, be you. And resilience is the ability to bounce back. Relationships move mountains. Some of the key stuff that really stood out for me. Beautiful. Thank you so much again.